Well, what's going on here with the Apex? Why we gotta always update some shit? Why? Okay, well, while you update, I'm gonna eat a sandwich, I guess, turn on some YouTube, catch up on some shit. So stupid. So silly. So stupid. Why you gotta be like that? Some shit was stupid like that.
Wait, it looks what? Oh,
It's not just action on a. Why have no TV in
we
it?
have no TV. Yeah, like so like it's
Oh, shut the fuck up.
well, yeah, we do now. We hang out and talk to each other.
It's like I stared at you and you rolled your eyes at me.
He's been in here for 2 seconds and there's already drama. Walked in, I looked at him and he rolled his eyes at me. And I rolled my eyes back and then he's like, and then he starts, never, you know what? I didn't do it.
That's not what happened at all. You literally were on the phone with your agent. You said, hey, about those 2 sponsors, can't do it. And then you rolled your eyes at me and I rolled your eyes back and he's like, oh my god, sponsor.
Nice for the bottom,
As always, sponsor agent.
You're not alone in this. He attacks me and I'm like super proud of sponsored. Really? It's just he's jealous.
No, I'm not jealous. I just think, look, there's,
But Smite.
huh?
Smite? what about Smite? I don't know. That was so random. I just feel like I thought I was Smite back in the
No,
day. Sponsor. Was that sponsor? That was a sponsor. What? He likes Smite. He's trying to get us all the skin Smite. What you do?
why are you frowning?
I'm shocked that they did that for you.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, I didn't make anybody look bad, but
It's unfortunate.
yeah, it was not the best skin in the world, but
Did it look like you?
no. That was the whole point. I don't want to look like me. No, don't get up. So it's actually embarrassing. It's
I gotta look it up. I never had anything the voice pack. Wait, there's a voice pack?
actually not pretty.
I want to look on YouTube.
No.
It's your voice
It's actually so cringe. Yes, it's me. And right. No, it's actually, yeah, that's the face.
It actually has an egg for a head. That's so. Is that real? That's really it. Okay, I mean, is this egg for real? Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's what you do. Oh no. I mean. Oh.
What?
Oh my gosh, he's getting so red. He's so red and stressed out, he's embarrassed.
It's so cringe. The boyfriends are really cringe.
Okay, prepare yourself. Okay.
What can I do while you guys are doing this for really good?
My headphones on, maybe?
Oh.
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet.
Hello.
I survived being swallowed by the dark heart of the universe.
Happy birthday to
I'm
you.
the Jump Master. You're falling for me already.
Beware, for I am fearless, and therefore, prepare first. We should probe that sector over there.
So this is pretty crazy. I guess package thieves don't even have the patience to wait anymore. This guy tried to scare his friends into thinking the police were here.
You guys are being too loud. Fingers right now. Who's there?
Wait.
We.
This his university made a robot that can move without using any electricity. The only thing that's powering his robot is air pressure.
Electronics-free robots could be used in environments where electronics are not safe, such as mine shafts, and could also be used in toys. It could also be used in toys.
Guess the champion couldn't keep up.
What?
These scientists were trying to look for a bird that hasn't been seen in over 140 years. They didn't know if it even still existed. So this was their reaction when they realized they captured a photo of it.
Extended light map here.
Joker. 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 It's it. It's Owl.
Some extra supplies.
Thank you for getting it. Holy man.
Box open.
She actually taught her dog how to sing.
Evo shield here. Level 2.
Nope.
I'm trying the microphone, and I hope this comes out right, because, oh, I should say a period. I'm sorry. Wait a minute.
That is the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
How about this? Ben, if you can beat me in rock, paper, scissors right now, I give you 500 points.
Let's go, bitch.
Oh. Okay, ready?
Best of one.
Yeah,
You do shoot.
I do shoot.
Okay.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
The squads are gone.
Doing good. Well, Minutes still at 500.
The Joe Rogan experience.
But you know, fat is fat, and it's not. It's just not healthy. Even if you find it beautiful or sexy or whatever you want, it's just science. It's bad for literally every part of your health, from how you poop to your eyesight. There's nothing that obesity doesn't affect negatively.
You know who doesn't get any of that body positivity shit though? Is men. Nobody gives a fuck about men. If men are fat, you're just fat. That's like when James Corden tried to get shit with you.
Yes.
It was such an obvious ploy. Oh, you're hurting my feelings,
Yes.
Bill.
Oh yes.
Fat shaming.
The-
First of all, that guy's fat from food. He's not like, oh
No.
my god, he's got a genetic disorder. He's just, that's not a guy who's obviously not working out. And
What the heck, Sam?
Living a good life, eating some nice food.
And
Are we getting shot at?
And
Fixable.
interesting, and interesting that a year or so after he made his big crusade against me, he signed a big contract, I think, with.
The Joe Rogan experience.
But, you know,
But fat is fat,
Fat is
and it's not. It's just not healthy. Even if you find it beautiful or sexy or whatever you want, it's just science. It's bad for literally every part of your health, from how you poop to your eyesight. There's nothing that obesity doesn't affect negatively.
you know who doesn't get any of that body positivity shit though? Is men. Nobody gives a fuck about men. If men are fat, you're just fat. That's like when James Corden tried to get shit with you.
Yes.
It was such an obvious ploy. Oh, you're hurting my feelings,
Yeah.
Bill.
Oh yes.
Fat shaming.
The-
First of all, that guy's fat from food. He's not like, oh
No.
my god, he's got a genetic disorder. He's just, that's not a guy who's obviously not working out and living a good life, eating some nice food,
and
a little plump,
yeah, and
fixable.
interesting, and interesting that a year or so after he made his big crusade against me, he signed a big contract, I think, with Weight Watchers. You know, it turned right around. But even Weight Watchers is out of style because now we've given up on the idea that obesity is something that can be contained by exercise and
Looking for shotgun ammo.
diet. It's now a disease.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these new drugs they have, Ozempic.
Yeah.
I was reading about Ozempic. I didn't know this until recently. They have zero clue why it works.
Eyes out for.
They know that it works, just not why. This would bother me. You know,
They should.
that if they're giving me something and they're like, hey, this new miracle pill, just take it. We're working on the reason why it might do this to you, but until then, just fuck it.
There's no biological free lunch either. I have friends that are on that stuff, and one friend who just got off of it because he was having some serious gastrointestinal issues that are apparently one of the side effects. It's not. There's no free lunch. If you're taking an injection that makes you less hungry, something's going on. That's probably not good.
Yes.
And you're also losing a lot of connective tissue, bone mass, and muscle mass. My good friend Peter Attia did a study on his patients. He's a doctor, did a study on patients that took Ozempic, and one of the things they found, they lost weight, but they gained fat. They were actually had a higher percentage of body fat because they were primarily losing muscle tissue and connective tissue. They were losing so much of that even though they lost like 20 pounds, they actually went from like 15% body fat to maybe 20% body fat or whatever the number was.
But what I find the most alarming is the way, in just a matter of a few years, the group think that this is a disease now that cannot be controlled by what for 50, 100, a million years before this, it was the scientific consensus that, of course, you can control it with diet and exercise. Just in a couple of years, that went out the window, and you cannot find an article on the front page or in the op-ed page of the New York Times in the last couple of years that has any other belief than this one, that it is a disease, it is not within a person's control. So they're all in on Ozempic or whatever else because we certainly can't leave this to people themselves to control it. That's a giant sea change, and the way they sheep-like just go right in a row.
Yeah.
No dissent. Not one person standing up in the paper of record to say, wait a second, this can't really be the case. I mean, 50 years ago, we looked like a completely different people.
Yeah.
Why is it the case? 50 years, did we evolve in 50 years, human beings? Was cake not delicious in 1969? I think it was, and yet somehow people resisted it.
Well, there's a lot of diet changes for sure, and I think one of the things about
What the fuck is happening right now?
By vested interests, like I'm sure you know about the 1950s, I believe it was, where the sugar industry paid off scientists,
of course,
to put the blame.
You guys are so bad at communicating.
It changed people's eating
and corn.
Corn.
They changed what the sugar came from because they had too much corn because they subsidized it.
Yeah.
So let's make sugar out of corn, which is not really what you should be making.
Right.
I mean, cane sugar is not great for you either, but it's better than corn. You see the obesity rates go up as corn syrup, but it's still within someone's power to turn it down. You're not helpless.
There's plenty of people out there that have done it too that you can get examples from. I mean, especially in this day and age with YouTube and these social media influencers that have lost a ton of weight, some of those people have gone on diets and lost 150 pounds, and they'll tell you how they did it. And you can get inspiration from them.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah, it's doable, but it's not easy. And the idea of calling it a disease, it's interesting because we kind of agree alcoholism is a disease, but it is similar because you are addicted to food. Like, people are absolutely addicted to food, especially high fructose corn syrup products and things where there's like, you're getting that big sugar rush and the insulin spikes.
Well, they do this in the lab, you know. I mean, they have all these food companies. All these food companies have labs where they go in and they test how much fat and sugar and salt we can put in this thing to make it as addictive as possible. You know, they don't want you to just eat one Lay's potato that you can't eat. They want you to have the whole bag and then start another bag.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the final video in conclusion of the Expanse PC build. I told you guys in the last one that the next time you see it, it will be done. So that's going to be the point in today's video. We're going to finish this off. Don't know how long it's going to be. It's going to probably take several days, to be honest. But we got some serious progress, and I want to get this done once and for all. The Air 903 Max mid-tower case from Montech features a 51% porosity ventilation rate, pre-installed HP 140mm ARGB fans, and 21 built-in RGB modes for a premium feel without the premium price. Not interested in RGB? Then the Air 903 base is just for you with its clean aesthetic, incredible component support at a price that won't have you crying. To see the full list of Air 903 specs from Montech, follow the link in the description below. Okay, so what I'm working on right now is the front. This is where the Jason Nante logo is going to go. I'm just kind of attaching some greebles. Something I've also done too, you'll see I even added another layer of greebles. So I have the extra panel. I think I have 2 panels actually we're not using. And I cracked it right there on accident. But I was kind of doing the same technique of how you can score it and snap it like you do with styrene. This one right here I didn't score very well. That's why you could see all the print layers. Like the jaggedness of it. Kind of looks like when you break fiberglass. But anyway, so that way we're not putting anything to waste. But I still have these oxygen tanks right here I could stick somewhere. But anyway, I need to get sort of adding, I need to add these. You know what, I got an idea. Because I just sort of want to 3D layer this up now and build some more depth to it. Otherwise it just looks way too flat. And I can sort of do the same thing on this panel over here too. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out some of these squares and things right now. Oh, check this out. So because the Rocinante had the PDCs that popped out, these are basically just like phalanx guns on an aircraft carrier or a ship these days. They are designed to just shoot down incoming like missiles and torpedoes and stuff. So I've got 2 of these, and I got rocket launchers on the side too. Those are still printing. I've got to airbrush these up and put them together. But I'm going to be mounting a couple of these on the side as well. Because obviously we need guns. Lots of guns. This is probably going to end up being a little overkill with the way I'm going to clamp them together, but anyone that builds models knows too much glue is just the right amount of glue. The carpet tape, I'm sure there's 2-sided tape out there that we could have gotten at Michael's or whatever that would have been just as good. But we've used this obviously, and
that one is hurt that landed on me.
Tackiness, like
he's over here. He's cracked hard.
It's just holding on little plastic panels. I'm sure there's a better product. It's just what we had. And some of the fun aspects of these builds is seeing what unconventional methods you can come up with just to get something done. Because that's the thing, when it comes to modding and playing around like this, there's not really a right way and a wrong way.
I'm gonna go after our buddy.
I can read a comment of this guy that went into all the reasons why scorch marks are just physically incorrect. Because scorching doesn't happen in space. You know the expanse isn't real, right?
Thanks for leaving,
real,
bro.
But guess
That's
what?
really
Until
great.
we go up there and start actually laser blasting stuff, we're not gonna know how it really looks. It's all physics and theory, right? Please comment about how I'm doing all of the physics wrong, because it helps boost the video. Read a comment of this guy that went into all conventional methods. It's just holding on little people's nose. Too much glue is just the right amount of glue. The carpet tape, I'm sure there's 2-sided tape out there that we could have gotten at Michael's or whatever that would have been just as good. But we've used this obviously, and it's never lost its like or like its goofiness or whatever. And it's just holding on little plastic panels. I'm sure there's a better product. It's just what we had. And some of the fun aspects of these builds is seeing what unconventional methods you can come up with just to get something done. Because that's the thing, when it comes to modding and playing around like this, there's not really a right way and a wrong way. Like, I didn't read a comment of this guy that went into all the reasons why scorch marks are just physically incorrect. Because scorching doesn't happen in space. You know the expanse isn't real, right? Space is real. But guess what? Until we go up there and start actually laser blasting stuff, we're not going to know how it really looks. It's all physics and theory, right? Please comment about how I'm doing all of the physics wrong, because it helps boost the video. And then more people can see me do it wrong. Take this fan. This fan was never intended to stay on full time anyway, because I still have to mount the radiator and stuff to it. But now that I'm almost done with all of the texturing and painting effects on here, I'll be able to mount this down with the rack soon. In fact, I might get farther along today than I thought. If this build takes a month from beginning to end, because I did the very first part where I cut the metal and stuff a month ago, then it'll still be one of Jay's fastest builds ever when it comes to custom work, right? Rush on! So the link fans come with these little plugs, which technically are about connecting the fans together, but by sticking that in there, now I can airbrush fade this, make it grimy like the rest, and it won't destroy the contacts by covering it in paint. Nick is like, we need a bright colored stripe in this thing. Like when the Rocinante was disguised as a gas freighter, it had like an orange panel and stuff on there. When it was the MCRN ship, it was black with orange. Clearly I've done the two-tone, as you can see here. I'm debating doing a pinstripe in between these two. So color-wise, we have red, which could work. Orange, very bright. We've got yellow, which could work too. We've got like a bright neon green, which also would look bad. So I don't know. I need some help here. And then blue, which would also work in this spacey. Okay, so I just put down my bottles of color there that I used as a palette, and then I think orange. We tried with the blue, green, yellow, red, orange. I just like the orange. I think the orange is a good contrast between the grays. Yellow was cool too. We liked yellow. Red is a little bit overdone, in my opinion. So orange is what we're going with. So as much as I tried to do the stripe, I couldn't get a very good parallel line. So I've decided I'm just not going to do the stripe. I'm not 100% against necessarily doing a color accent, even if I just did like a couple lines up here or something. But right now, I want to move forward without getting stuck on that point. I also added some CA glue to these panels here, and then plant them together while actually these panels right here. Because this part we're starting to lift a little bit. You can see a little bit of the glue showing. I'll just put a little spray paint over that. But these were starting to kind of lift off a little bit because I didn't see it right here. So I CA glued that. I say make sure I didn't CA glue it down to the side panel real quick, like to make sure I can still open it, which should be okay, I think.
New kill leader appointed.
Did you really? Did you really pull it close?
I did.
I did.
I was doing this. I was like, don't glue the panel close. We were just watching a compilation of stupid people while we were at lunch. You can see where it was glued. Anyway, that's off now. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to add now some CA glue down in there and clamp it. Other parts. So the it turned out. Nick turned it out. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces technically. So paint these. So I'm thinking one will go like right there on that side, and on the other side. Probably not even. It'll probably be like offset somewhere else. Because remember on the ships they were just kind of all over the place. So I just did 2 on this one. And since we have a lot left to do,
Shield broke.
We'll go ahead and just sort of B-roll montage it up for that aspect, and then we'll come back when it's ready to talk. Or I'm ready to talk. And I have glue everywhere now. Not glue, but like the tape boogers. Alright, whatever.
Shield broke. Cover me. That one's hurt. Oh, we're done. God damn it. You guys gotta stick together. That's bullshit.
Nick is like, we need a bright colored stripe.
Okay, well, I'm sure you guys are all shocked as I am. It's done. It's just the fact that it's done. Even if it had taken a year, it still would be like, okay, that's typical for Jay. But I got it done inside of 1 month with more 3D printing than any of us have ever even dreamed of doing. But anyway, as you can see, we've got some stuff set up here. Obviously, we're using the Corsair Link fans, which I already explained why. Phil has done some lighting configuration on here that we're going to probably kind of tweak a little bit more. There's one other thing I would have loved to have done if I had really thought about it. Is when we referenced the photo of what the engines look like, they've got this almost like a white, kind of like a crackling, misty effect coming off. And I think it would have been neat to 3D print in the white clear that we have a cone that fits within here that has that jaggedy, like fiery looking bit to it. That would have just picked up the lighting from the fan, and then it would have looked like fire. And we can still do that, but there's no point in extending this any longer than it already is because I'm happy with the way the case mod has turned out. As you can see, we added the PDCs and Nick added some rocket launchers to that. My intake here for the power supply works perfect because as you can see, the screws are right there, needed to mount down. And so the magnet mod works perfectly on there. Let's talk about the front. Phil has used his skills with doing some artwork to turn the Rocinante into the Jasonante, and then he printed this out on a stencil from our Cricut, and then I transferred it onto here and painted it, and just like when we did our Imperial build, you cannot scratch this off if you tried. In fact, I tried to do my hairspray mod where I could chip it a little bit, but I didn't use enough hairspray, so it will not come off. Like, I can't. So we just ended up fading it by adding a little bit more gray paint on top with a very light layer. But anyway, you can see the front panels are on there. Here's the other PDC on this side. Here is our fan, which I moved to the exterior of the case, which is now a full-size fan blowing air in. Here is the other flow-through. And it's funny, too, like if you put your hand right here, you can actually feel the air from the graphics card coming all the way through. So remember, those 120s on the other end are blowing directly on the graphics card. Here is our damage effect, which, as you can see, we used the head of the motherboard to put. I basically made a ring of light. So I took an ARGB strip and then just hot glued it in a circle around the hole. And I was planning on airbrushing the graphics card. But the thing is, the rear of the core lines up with the hole, which is probably good. If the whole idea about why they put a hole on the backside of the motherboard to allow some of that CPU radiant heat to come out, I guess you would have to say this would do the same thing. Maybe it's just because it's a 40 series and the 12-volt high power just blew a hole right out the side of it. There's your lore right there. But because the core lines up with the hole, the silver and all the SMDs and stuff pick up that light, which Phil has programmed kind of like a sort of a starry night between red and orange to look like fire. That's how that effects happening. And because the rest of it's black with just a little bit of gold, you can't see it through the holes. There was no point in painting the graphics card, which would have been irreversible. So I just left it the way it was. Let's see, moving forward, what else can I talk about here? Not a whole lot other than we learned a lot on this. I'm getting this back on. The top is still my favorite part. Nick came up with this design on his own, these louvers. These are functional vents because we wanted the top of the case to retain its functionality of air being pushed in on the graphics card. Part of the axial fans blow air out the exhaust of the graphics card, and that's right here on the top. So if you look in the rear, you can see the vents are still fully functional. You can feel the air coming out, especially when these fans break up. And then I just sort of painted the back to kind of match. I didn't paint any of the components, as you can see. But now, no matter what angle you look at this build, you can see that the theme just sort of follows it around. But it turned out really, really well. Now let's talk about temperatures and stuff. The GPU temps, as you might expect, are pretty phenomenal. I mean, we've got two high-pressure, high RPM fans that are set to balance mode right now in IQ, blowing fresh air directly on the graphics card. That performs about as well as you would expect. The one thing I want to talk about, though, is the CPU temps effect. I'll just go and show you GPU temps. So the card is currently idling at 29. Remember, this is a 4080, not a 4090. It's a 4080 ProArt. The ProArt comes with this particular Tiki build from Falcon Northwest because it's the only 40 series graphics card 4080 and up that would fit in here because it's more of a standard size card. You can see the fans are actually off on the GPU right now. They're idle. Or not even off. So that cooling is just from these fans blowing directly on it. And it'll max out at around 70 or so, which is like really, really good. Now the thing is, and Falcon had reached out to me too to make sure I had thought of this, and I had. When it comes to the 120 AIO as an intake, it has a lot of pressure to overcome if I'm blasting these 120s intake. So two 120s pushing air in, any air not exhausting out the vents, which may or may not end up being an issue later on. We'll just have to do our full testing, which is going to actually be the next video, which is about cooling, not about the build so much, but about SFF cooling and some of the stuff I'm going to try out. If this RPM can't overmatch, or at least match the amount of pressure coming through this chassis, then we're going to have an inefficiency here with our AIO. Remember, I have a 120 AIO. I'm asking a lot of an Asyntec 120 AIO to keep a 7800 X3D cool in any sort of CPU-intensive task. When it comes to graphics, so as you can see, we're hovering at like 65C right now. And these fans are not even going all that fast. And crazy enough, if I had like a thermal camera, you would see a fair amount of heat radiating out of... So put your hand right here. Like, touch it.
It's realistic fire now.
It's working, as intended. Let's see what happens now with the CPU. And that's a slightly different story. Score-wise, it's landing where it was before I did any of the mods. But I think there's room for improvement. And the temperatures are up a little bit. And there's a few reasons for that. I think, one, this grill right here, its porosity is not great because these
spotted someone?
This is louvered at an angle. So one of the things that we're going to be testing in the next video for temperatures is I made a spacer to move it away from the blades a little bit to see if we can't get a little bit of a bigger cushion of air right in front of the blades. It'll help with acoustics. It'll also help with a little bit of extra airflow. Two, I'm probably going to go ahead and cut out the vent on the inside. So remember, there is still the grill material on one side, and then I've got this vent on the other. So although I put a bigger fan in here, I might not have actually created a better situation by having the little bit of resistance on one side. Probably a fair amount of resistance here. If this ends up being a big problem, which means I'll try by removing the grill entirely as well. If we see a big improvement in temps, we'll just redesign this, reprint it, repaint it, put it on there. Our cores are in the low 80s or high 70s, low 80s with the package at 86. Now, I believe the package before, you can hear the fans ramped up. It's doing its job. But I definitely feel like it's not flowing as well as it could, and I do think a lot of that has to do with the design of this grate, so we're going to have to play with this, I think. We're still hitting 4824 megahertz, 4800 megahertz. This is all core, by the way. And our package is at 85.9, and all of our cores, our CCDs at 75, and our cores are between 81 and the lows. And there's a 17,574. So we lost a little bit, so we were right around 18,000. So I do think that Well, by the way, I've got IQ and Aura and all that running, so that's going to count for some reason. We're good. But I do think we can do a better job here, both acoustically and temperature-wise, and that will be in a separate video.
I broke her shields.
It's fun learning about some airflow techniques. It's not going to be. It has nothing to do with like necessarily the case mod. This is now just airflow physics, and I want to play around. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the Expanse theme build. There's one aspect to this I wasn't able to incorporate that I want to try later, but I did not want to put the video anymore. That's going to be getting some proto-molecule on here. Now, my idea was to backlight some like hot glue drips and stuff to make it look like the glowing proto-molecule.
Another team there.
In the movie/TV show books. It's mostly black with a lot of like glowing blue, like luminescence to it. It's actually very difficult to get that technique the way I want. Part of the problem is the fact that this Asus motherboard that's in here, which is a B650E, B650E, I think it's the E. It's a B650. It has one ARGB header, Gen 2 RGB, by the way, and a single 12-volt header. Now, almost all devices use either 5-volt ARGB. Now, it's a Gen 2 device, which means the header could split the signal between multiple Gen 2 devices and individually control them. The problem is, none of my devices are Gen 2. And when I look them up online, there's kind of a limited selection. So it's sort of like this is on the cusp of a new generation of RGB that none of my stuff that I have works with. So I opted to, fortunately, be saved by the fact that I'm using IQ for the fans, because it's independent on lighting, and I use that header for the fire effects, which to me was more important than the proto molecule, and I'll figure that out later. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this build. I hope it's given you some ideas, maybe for your own case mods. And you guys know I love to take my model building techniques and utilize them in PCs when possible. And a lot of you guys said this was very refreshing content. You guys enjoyed seeing it. It was different than what you're used to seeing in the tech space. It's been a long time since we've done a case mod, so there you go. It's also the first time we've utilized 3D printing in it, which would not have been possible without our 3D printers. So also too, Nick did a great job at modeling a lot of this, taking my ideas and turning it into an actual physical, tangible thing. All three of us played a huge part in making this build what it is. So this was a huge team effort, not just like, look at what Jay can do. So, I mean, with the exception of putting it together, painting it, everything else was a team effort. So thanks for watching, guys. Give this video a like if you appreciated it. There was a lot of time and effort that went into this, and I would love to do more stuff like this because it's just fun to let the brain juices leak out my ear. The creative juices, whatever. I put a molecule in my head, probably. No, that's just paint fumes.
Both pipe wrenches and channel locks are extremely handy tools. They're versatile and they can be used for all kinds of things, but typically nobody really shows us how to use these things properly. In fact, I've come up with 3 mistakes that DIYers tend to make when using these tools, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use these properly, take advantage of the amazing teeth on these things so that you can use these to their maximum potential. Now, these are particularly good at grabbing onto...
Why is this what's playing?
You can, of course, come up in terms of cooling. Check out the 7600 build guide if you want to increase the cooling and what I recommend there. For the motherboard, look, there's tons and tons of great boards to get. I like the ASRock B650M Pro RS Wi-Fi. It's got 3 M.2s on it. It's got Wi-Fi on it. It's $150. Really only available at Newegg, though. I haven't seen it over at Amazon. If for whatever reason you have to use Amazon, I'll leave a couple other boards that I do like linked in the video description. You can also check out our best motherboard for Ryzen 2023 video. We go through the whole lineup, including why we're going B650 here for X670, which honestly nobody should use. For the RAM, especially now that AMD has released their new AGESA, their BIOS updates, just make sure to update those motherboard BIOSes to the most current one that's not a beta version. You should be able to clock up the RAM to 6000 CL30. That's the speed we're going to get. Really no reason to go any speed other than that right now. 5600 CL28 would effectively be the same speed. I'm going with this Team Force Delta kit. It's ARGB, $104. You can, of course, find cheaper non-RGB kits starting around like $90, but honestly, for $15, let's let this thing look super cool. There's also an all-white version of this. We've already talked about the SSD. I'm going with the same 1 terabyte. Again, you can go with a 2 terabyte. $40. That's honestly what our CPU and GPU power. But again, great drive for the build. For the case, there's just tons and tons of good cases out there. I went with the Lee & Lee Landcool 216. I really like this case when we did it on our 7800 X3D that gaming build. Really informative. It fixed all the sensor of the 215. I do not recommend the 215. Go with the 216 instead. It's got these really nice super large fans on ARGB. You can replace the fan in the rear if you want with an RGB one. Don't have to. You can add a couple more fans up top. Plenty of room also for a 240mm all-in-one liquid cooler top mounted if you wanted to do that. $99, just absolutely insane value. I love this case. For the PSU, we're going with a Corsair RF750E. Fantastic unit. I continue to recommend. 750 watts, ATX 3.0, A tier rated on the PSU Cultist list, fully modular. I don't know what else to say about this one other than buy it. This is a great value. So for $1,250, or if you want to go with the 7900 XT, $1,500, you're going to get an insanely performative gaming PC. You're going to get great CPU performance out of it, and it's going to look amazing as well. Let's go through some great monitor recommendations at the high end. 4K 1028U, 144 hertz, $449. In fact, it got down to $429 the other day. Could go back there, and that's insane value. I bought two of them. It's flat. It's IPS. FreeSync Premium Pro on it. It's got DisplayPort 1.4, but it's got HDMI 2.1 on it. I would still recommend using DisplayPort if you can, but seriously good value at $449. If you're instead looking for something that's OLED, right now, the LG 27-inch Ultra Gear OLED. Now, this is 1440p, but it's 240 hertz, $809. And people say, well, what about the Asus PG, blah, blah, blah. The other one that's very similar, uses the same panel. Yeah, it's $200 more. I just can't recommend it at that price, given this is so cheap. If instead you're looking for an ultra-wide gaming experience, check out the Alienware 34-inch. It's AW3423 DWF. It's a huge mouthful, but it's $899 right now. There's a slightly more expensive version of it that has G-Sync. This one's FreeSync Premium Pro. Honestly, either of these OLED monitors is going to give you incredible HDR gaming. Remember, links to everything are down in the video description for all of the builds and monitors. And if you got value out of the video, give it a like. This makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe. Click that bell icon, that way you get notified when we release cool content. Hey, speaking of cool content, check out our best CPU and GPU combo 2023 video right here. We go through everything that you need to know to size your CPU with your GPU all the way up to 4K. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Hello and welcome to Tech Deals. I'm Junior Deals, and today I'm going to be reviewing a pair of SSDs by a company that most of you don't really recognize called NextStorage. NextStorage was originally founded by Sony in 2019 with the goal of ensuring that the PlayStation 5 consoles had a source for high-end Gen 4 NVMe SSDs in case any agreements for contracting them from other companies failed for whatever reason. However, seeing as their original plan shifted dramatically, Phison took the controlling stake in NextStorage in 2022. The same Phison that made the controllers for dozens of manufacturers who sell SSDs but don't usually make any of the parts. This video will go over the specifications and performance while comparing to other SSDs on the market in a similar weight class. At the end of the video, we'll determine whether you should buy one for a current or a future build. This video is brought to you by Newegg. They send us the drive for us to cover and review, so you'll find everything mentioned in the video description below. With those links, you can support us while knowing you're getting a good deal on an amazing SSD, which is a crucial part of any computer build. To start with, the specs of the 4TB version of the NextStorage drive include a max sequential read speed of 7.3 GB per second and an impressive write speed of 6.9 GB per second, with a claimed 1 million IOPS, or input-output operations per second. That sounds impressive, but what does it actually accomplish in the real world? While Crystal Disk Mark is not completely accurate to the real world, it is simple to use and free to download for a quick and easy test of performance and temperature. We'll get to the temperature part later in the video. When running Crystal Disk Mark, the first benchmark with a single test count with a 1 GB test size went exceptionally well, with the 4TB NextStorage drive reaching sequential read speeds of 7 GB per second and a write speed of a little over 6.8 GB per second. Next, we have the AutoDisk benchmark, a more detailed test that looks at the performance at far more read and write sizes than the Crystal Disk Mark benchmark does. The first Adder run did well, with read speeds of about 6.5 gigabytes per second and read speeds of about 6.3 gigabytes per second. While the read speed is a full gigabyte slower than the advertised speed, that is expected to happen, because unless the gods of RNGesus bless your computer and you get really lucky and you run the right test, you will never see the advertised number just running benchmark after benchmark. But let's back up a minute. In order to quickly swap out the drives I was testing, because I benchmarked more SSDs than just the ones in this video, we put the NVMe SSDs on a riser card that looked fairly similar to something like this, and inserted it into one of the PCI Express slots on the motherboard. That means we tested these drives without a heatsink, and this is how we received the next storage drives and initially did all of our testing with. When I ran the default 5 test count, 1 gigabyte test size, the read speeds were fairly similar as before, but the write speeds were terrible. I initially couldn't figure out why, so I ran the benchmark with a test count of 1 and the file size of 64 gigabytes to fully stress the SSD. And in doing so, the results got even worse. This time, a sequential write with a Q count of 1 and 1.8 gigabytes per second, opposed to the about 6 gigabytes per second that you would expect. I eventually figured out the performance of the drive was suffering because it was overheating, and boy was I right. Running both Crystal Disk Park and the Adder benchmark using Crystal Disk Info to measure the temperature of the SSDs, the next storage drive was over 70 degrees Celsius quite often, which is bad for the long-term health of any SSD. Furthermore, this is the second run of the Adder disk benchmark that was ran immediately after the first one, and you can see what happens once the drive becomes heat saturated. The performance falls off of a cliff in order to prevent the SSD from being cooked alive from the heat it produces. Now this isn't just a fault from the next storage drive. Every Gen 4 SSD I tested hit some kind of except for the Samsung 990 Pro. Even though the 990 Pro hit the same temperature as the next storage drive, it still held a read speed of about 6.6 gigabytes per second and a write speed of about 6.4 gigabytes per second. Perhaps if I ran another test, it would start to falter, but props to Samsung for being able to sustain better performance under the same temperatures. In order to solve the issues of overheating, the Z690 MSI Carbon Wi-Fi motherboard on our test bench has this long heatsink that I used for all of the tests that say heatsink. And in general, there were no longer any thermal throttling and the temperatures dropped by about 10 degrees Celsius. On the screen, I will show you the actual temperatures reported during the benchmarks. While normal users aren't typically going to be stressing the drives in this kind of workload, I would still strongly recommend that you have a heatsink installed, whether it comes from the motherboard or from the drive itself, as both the 2TB and 4TB next storage drives come with heatsink that was about 5 to 10.
He's hurt over here. I broke his shield. He's shielding up. He's healing up. He's in his.
Has impressive performance suitable for gaming. So
Oh my God! What are you guys doing? I came to your fight.
These are not bad. They are far from it. But the 2TB version is in a competitive market with a lot of competition from the likes of a well-known Western Digital SN850X and the Samsung 980 Pro, which have proven themselves time and time again. However, it does come in a 4TB size, so the only real competition it has is the Silicon Power X70 that adds an 85 and the Western Digital SN850X. The X70 was the least expensive and a great choice for the PS5.
He's got a heal. He ain't gonna make it out of this. You guys got to that fight. You never went to the zone, and you got all of us killed.
So mounting options are limited to motherboards without built-in heatsinks. Unfortunately, the SN850X does not come with a heatsink at the 4TB size, and it's also the most expensive option.
I had an evac tower in my thing, but you're not even gonna get to this.
On the other hand, the A95 and the next storage can be purchased with or without a heatsink attached. If your motherboard doesn't provide a built-in heatsink, be sure to buy the model that includes one for proper cooling. As a bonus, the heatsink is also perfectly sized to fit within a PS5. With all that out of the way, let's refocus on the benchmark numbers themselves. First, we'll look at Crystal Disk Mark, a wonderfully easy-to-use free tool that you can download.
He might get it.
To get a quick reality check on the performance of your own system. Compare your numbers to these screenshots to see how your PC stacks
Wasted
up.
all the time in the
left-hand
world to
corner
do
of the screen,
that
we
for
have the
those
Samsung
what
980
one
Pro.
kill.
In the upper right-hand corner, we have the Samsung 990 Pro. Both are well-known, excellent quality drives that
Or get that material so you can rebuild your guy before you get me. Okay, forget it.
We have the SK Hynix P41
I mean, don't you want to? Oh, you got both of our cards. All right, cool.
Three primary makers of memory and NAND in the world. On the bottom right is the next storage drive, and all tests have the motherboard heatstick mentioned earlier. Some numbers are faster than other numbers, some drives are slower than others. For example, the 4K random read speed with a queue depth of 1 and a thread count of 1 is about 80 megabytes per second on the next storage drive. This is the slowest of the bunch. However, the same test and write speed gives us the fastest speed of the bunch at 354 megabytes per second. The same story continues up the test tree with different drives winning different tests. However, no drive wins outright. Each one has their wins and losses. I do think it's important to stress that you would not normally notice the differences because these are rounding errors. In the real world, there's hardly a difference between these drives. You can consider them interchangeable when it comes to performance. There is one outlier that I would like to mention, the 980 Pro sequential write speeds. They are about 1.5 to 2 gigabytes per second slower than the other Gen 4 drives tested. This is still faster than the early Gen 4 drives, so keep that in mind. Next, we have the AutoDisk benchmark, a more detailed test that looks at the read and write sizes at far more detail than Crystal Diskmark does. The Samsung 990 Pro, SK Hynix P41 Platinum, and the next storage drives are almost all copies of each other in terms of overall performance. In fact, both the next storage SSDs have a DRAM chip that comes from SK Hynix that made the P41 Platinum. In fact, I'll even put up a video showing you that the DRAM chips are from SK Hynix themselves. So what is the conclusion? Next Storage has produced a very fast Gen 4 drive that keeps up with the competition, and honestly, that shouldn't be surprising given the two companies that founded the company 4 years ago and who runs it today. Phison is one of the primary suppliers of SSD controllers to many companies that make SSDs. The controller is what actually runs the data to the actual NAND chips on the drives themselves. It's not surprising that they put the best of the best into this drive. The only question then becomes price, which will change over time. As noted at the start of the video, links to all of these drives are in the video description. Those are affiliate links. Using them supports us at no extra cost to you and helps us bring you even more content like this. Thank you all so much for watching till the very end. 2 gold. Thank you all so much for watching to the very end. 2 gold stars for all of you still here. If you found this useful and helpful in picking out a drive, please leave a comment below and let us know which one you plan to buy or if you have already purchased and how you like it. Thank you very much for watching and we'll see you next time.
Evo shield here. Level 2.
What is up, fellas? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wanted to talk about an MMORPG account that's worth more than your bank account? Well, welcome, because today we're doing that. We're talking about a RuneScape account known as BTC, someone who I've talked about in the past, because most recently when I mentioned him, he had a RuneScape account on old school RuneScape worth around 500 billion GP. I'm here to tell you today that he has now upped that to almost, or actually just over, 770 billion GP. He is the self-claimed most expensive and biggest bank ever revealed in RuneScape history. So here it is. To give you guys more of an insight on what this would be worth to be real-world traded, which is not allowed, by the way, it's against the rules, although plenty of people do it. I feel like you'd be caught trying to, transfer this much gold even over any extended period of time. But that 770 billion GP in old school RuneScape.
Where's our fucking teammate at?
Of $200,000 in real life. And, middle school me is freaking out on the inside. The last time I played RuneScape was, okay, I logged in a few days ago, but I haven't played in actually, I believe, 3 years was the last time I tried to quit the game, a game that I truly love. And ever since talking to BTC,
It's over. We already lost
inventory itself. It is just
You guys gave up the
covered
high
in
ground for no
Inquisitor
reason.
and Torvesta. You got, of course, the gigantic stack of platinum tokens and everything else that you can know and love in RuneScape. He has it in game because he can buy it. Now, to be quite frank with all of you guys and transparent, he has earned all of this gold through death matching in the game. It's like the only way in the game left to kind of gamble / stake / go to the good old arena that no longer exists. But 770 billion GP, estimated worth $200,000 if you were to sell it on the black market, which is illegal, or if you were to actually try and get that amount of gold by buying bonds in the game, I believe $7 or $8 a piece, it would cost you, over $700,000 to get this much gold. And this just hits a whole new string because I played RuneScape growing up. It's one of my favorite games of all time. If you guys know me, you know that. It's the best MMO of all time. I know there's going to be some WoW people out there who think otherwise, but it's crazy that we are now in an age where these accounts have come to be. And there's two different games. If you don't know, RuneScape 3 and Old School RuneScape are separated, but you can transfer gold in between them. I believe the current transfer rate is 1 to 10 in favor of Old School, so he can actually transfer this 770 billion GP into over 7 trillion GP in the RuneScape 3 market, which I just like, at this point I can't even fathom. And I'm so glad to be in a part of my life where I can actually just talk to these guys and be like, yo, how'd you do this? And he just told me everything he owns, and I covered it the first time, and so I'm covering it here. Have you guys ever seen a RuneScape account or bank worth more than $200,000 IRL? If you have, hit me up in the DMs, because this guy is actually curious to see if there are any secret owners in RuneScape who have a bigger bank than him. And there are speculators out there. There is speculation that there might be, I don't know about an Old School, this is pretty much a lock it seems, but there might be some secretive RuneScape 3 accounts who maybe had some party hats or rares tucked away, and with the inflation of the economy, that maybe can surpass him, but it's going to be tough for sure. What do you guys think to next time? Drink up for me, alright? Someone translate how many coffees is $200,000, okay? I'm gonna go drink one of those. Till next time, take care. Okay, bye.
Mommy! Oh, I'm turning into mommy. Burning into? Nice. 9. 9. Like a doll. Says you. Burning. Oh, well, much more to the right than I thought we would be. Oh, yeah, I thought we were. Should we move the cam so it's more like this? So what are all the cosplays and the things that we're doing today? And it's a mystery. We actually don't even know what she brought. Oh, really? We still don't know. Anyone have a coffee? I was like, why would you do that?
The squads are gone. I'm fine with that.
Get me. Wait, but you working out? No, what is that for? I do squats with it. If I'm too lazy to go downstairs to the gym.
I brought 7 costumes, so there's options, and yeah, we got chat. I've never cosplayed.
Really? Yeah. Have you ever cosplayed before?
No.
It's fun. I've never cosplayed. I brought
Neon from Valorant. Did you ask for them?
Yes. I think for sure Neon and the other one could be mystery.
Joy from Valorant. Oh, I brought Miku for Tina. I brought
Tina, that looks so cute.
Do you actually know anything about Honkai Star Rail?
Wait, I know it's like another gotcha game.
I brought Kafka, the like mommy character. He's hot. Oh, I got like a okay. Most people have ever cosplayed on Monster Hunter.
No way, you got all your housemates, right?
Yeah, but it was always like you 2 people.
Oh my god. It's gonna be the start of a series called Cosplays with Emmy, and you travel the world and you do cosplays for everybody. This is gonna be episode 1.
These are my favorite streams to do. Like, really? Yeah, I mean, usually it's like people come to whatever.
Yeah, you should just the travel.
I feel like a lot of things are short on me, or see, I wish I had that problem.
I want to be long.
Well, now see the problem is I think I gotta find only the ones that like are accommodating of longer.
Okay, so what are the options for long girls?
I'm a stubby girl.
One stub.
Replicator on its way down.
I'll check filter first.
Okay.
Your first cosplay ever is crazy.
I know.
Oh, so people count like the. I'm so impressed. I feel like you pull off so many cosplays.
Yeah, you're perfect. My head is so round. Well, my head's so square.
No, you're gonna feel very like this. I'm a rectangle.
I'm like a square jaw too. Wait.
I feel like you have like you guys have like perfect cosplay. No, not me. You do. You do.
Weren't you let the Ryan play literally base Gwen? But it's not. She's not based off of that. It's not real. What they looked at my face while drawing it.
That's literally inspired.
Yeah.
Your face is inspired Gwen.
Literally Gwen. Well, I didn't know know when they released it, and when they released her model, I thought that I was gonna cancel on Twitter because I woke up and I had like 100 mentions, and people were like, dude, her head shape looks just like yours. And I was like, I gotta cosplay her. And then when I cosplayed her, the artist was like, yeah, I like referenced her.
Wait, that's awesome! That's what I'm saying.
I mean, because what is it? She's
She's a little one. A little one.
They're so sick of her.
Can I do a big cat?
Yes, there should be. If not,
So is this one made for a kill show? I'm scared that it's sold.
I like it, dude. I love being old. I want. You don't want to do it on. It's fine.
We're going bald house. Yeah, it's like for the
so it's fine.
I've always wanted to cosplay as Avatar, Last Airbender Aang, and have the bald cap someday in the future.
I've done a cosplay. I cosplayed Tyler one once.
Did you put the dent in your head?
No.
Wait, you did?
I should.
Oh, that could have been S tier. Could have been S tier cosplay.
Myself on that. You have a dent?
Yeah, headset dent.
Really?
I think a lot of guys do. When they wear the headset all the time, their head starts growing around it.
Oh my god! You look so cute!
Except my hair doesn't match at all. I need a ball down. Yeah, I don't think my hair is gonna fit.
I also have long hair.
Really?
Yeah, I
We'll
used to have,
squish it in.
she can fit her. I mean, my real hair's here. I have weave, but I used to have real hair that was like here. But the thing is, like, from the front it looks fine, but then in the back you have like
a mound.
Yeah, you look like an
alien.
But it's not. It's really not that bad. We just don't have to look at the back.
Yeah, I'll just look forward. I'm so excited. We had so much fun. Tina, your first cosplay? I'm so excited for you.
Wait, I've seen your Viper cosplay. Your Viper is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna teach her how to go bald.
But do I need a hair tie?
I don't. You can tuck it all in.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, the fact that you cut your hair makes the children worse. We're going bald.
Time.
It's time.
How we doing?
No, okay, take those up.
Oh.
It might want to stretch a little so you don't like, if it's too tight it gives me a migraine. Yeah, okay, so now you're gonna put it on your neck.
It might be easier to have the glasses around you.
Yeah. Last lady, I'm being bullied.
No bullying.
Okay. So now you take all your hair out, so it's like around your neck like a choker.
Yeah.
Okay, then you make sure that the like band part's at the bottom.
The band part at the bottom.
That's gonna go around your hairline.
Okay.
You just pull everything back.
It's near easy.
Egg. See, now you're an egg. Yeah, and then
I'm an egg. Pretty Whoa, wait, that's like seamless.
Wait, wow. Wait, how did you do that?
She cut it off.
It's never like that. Like, I mean, like, if I ever put one of these on, it's never been like that.
That's a light. Light and breathe. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I love it.
Wait, have you thought of it before?
Yes, I have.
But not wet. Okay, so you just hold the thing part like here with your thumb and the bottom, and then you just like pull to your forehead and burn. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wait,
You like, maybe. Okay, back.
Oh god. Oh. Okay, wait, I'll help you fix it.
Wow. Would you ever have your hair black? No. You like that.
What? But the thing about if you go black, you can't like bleach.
Oh, it's tough.
Not that I bleach my hair much, but I mean my roots are so close to this anyway that you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Not this black. Though. I
Never
love
go
black hair. I love.
Oh.
Wait, what happened? Wait, what happened? Oh, it's just saying not to go black. You never go black. It's true, because how do you bleach? Like it's hard to lift.
HDMI.
Never.
HDMI. I'm ready for the glasses.
Oh, you need the glasses and the baby.
She has a bag on there, I think.
So I had to like take everything else pictures on there. Oh yeah, the damn costume has tattoos too.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh shit.
It's cute. Oh, hello.
Oh no. Hide the hair, hide the hair. It works when I feel like our hair is much shorter. If you want.
You want to cut it?
Don't cut it, don't
Who's
cut it.
cutting
It's
time?
such a nice wig. Don't cut it. We'll just hide it. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate.
Yeah, that's true.
She grew it out.
Oh, you look fancy.
And now I want to see your neon because it's like we're Valorant characters too.
True.
I'm not gonna do tomorrow.
Oh, you want to do neon? So I'm doing two cosplays. I'm doing one today and one tomorrow, so I don't know.
Well, Peach, I mean, we could do Kafka today because I know my chat loves Kafka.
What do you guys want?
Or what do you want from me? I mean, Kafka for the children tomorrow if you want, but if you want something new,
I think something new.
that's Kafka.
It's Kafka. Is that a picture of her?
Yeah.
The new Genshin Impact game? No, Genshin Impact game?
Honkai Star Rail.
Yeah, Star Rail.
Yeah, she looks like this.
Oh, come on.
Oh, she's freaking sick.
Okay, I'll do Neon tomorrow then. My next.
Yeah, I mean, you could. Oh, please. Oh my god, I literally just got a hot flash.
Mommy!
Oh.
Mom? I'm turning into mommy.
Turning into.
The sleeves just go like this?
Yeah, I think
they just dangle?
Wow, nice. Nine. Does
the shirt go tucked in? I actually don't know.
I'll pull up the picture.
Okay.
A lot of people here probably don't know. Say the word mommy's been on about 5-minute timeout in my chat.
Oh,
it is. Like I hate it so much.
Wait, you hate it?
Because when people say like mommy or the D word, it makes me think of my own parents.
Oh, I see. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, see you in 5 minutes, chat.
It made me struggle calling my own. Oh my daddy growing up. I know. Many years ago when it got popularized, I was like, oh my god, it's Jover. And then I randomly just started calling my dad, hey dad, and he's like, oh. It just so subtle. So it's just like coat. It has like fake sleeves that my shepherd.
Oh my gosh, I feel like a pirate.
They driving me crazy.
Oh, so they keep teeth. Getting dressed.
There's a long one, a short one, and a long one.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm struggling.
It's okay, it looks really complicated. It's like it's like these straps that go around.
They like put on to
They're like high waist.
Yeah. Oh, got it. To do the other side. Yeah, see? It's
a little tiny little.
Costumes are so difficult. We're almost done.
I am
super cute.
But it's scrappy.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Take this.
The fuck?
Yeah, all the way, like just I don't know, the hair out. Get that hair all out. And then
It's time to go bald.
yeah, you put on your hairline. You look so good. Oh my god, you look so cute. I definitely roosted up in long with. Oh wow, a tattoo for your.
I'm bald. Christina, this is so cute. And the skirt with the leggings and the teal on the bottom is adorable. Wow, Tina, you look good.
I'm excited for the wig. It looks like the wig. You got it. The big ring, like
I feel top heavy.
Now you're gonna tip over.
Yeah, it's like a big ball on the back of my head. Oh my god, it's so cute.
I have an orange full.
No, it's not. Girl, no one's gonna see that. She's like, you can see her. She's like, guys, I'm not a zit.
Dude, it's like bad. It's been ruining my life lately.
And then pull this.
Oh god, there's so much hair. Oh wait, it fits. Yeah.
Not too long. Oh, you just put in.
Yeah, you can. I'll cut the front wall, but now you can see at least. Oh, it looks so cute like that, actually. First the.
You know, I've never played her before. I haven't played the game, so I feel, who am I, you know? Oh, she's got glasses too. She doesn't look like Makima for some reason.
No, she is very similar to Makima. I think that's literally exactly.
Oh, really?
What they designed her to be like. It's like blonde.
Cute. Wow. Oh, wow. The glasses really pull it together. Yeah, it's a look.
Hold on, I'm too shy. I think I'd explode.
You think off camera?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm shy. I have a bob.
Wow, Tina, if you ever dyed your hair, you would flop everyone.
If I dyed my hair, I would actually do this color.
Wait, really?
I like turquoise. Wow. If you look at the doll, you look like a doll. Says you. I feel like that girl from Lazy Town right now, but with turquoise instead.
Oh my
What's her name?
So cute. The pink girl, she's like something about baking a cake.
Yeah.
The cake will end up crazy. Oh, gotta do the something about the book. You know.
Oh my god, you look like. Oh my god, the weight on these things. This thing is heavy. This single pigtail is heavier than my entire head.
No.
I can't believe you just cut the bangs right then and there.
This is cute.
Oh.
Wow. We can have like ladies in waiting that like also wear hair. Ladies in waiting. We can be that. Like, you know, totally.
Yeah, so they want you to do this. They're so long. Huge. I did not know they were this big. They go like
yeah, so long.
Wow. Well, that's crazy. It does. That's each one is like.
Come help! Oh my god, how does this guy hit me with a handgun? He's so hurt, he's broken, he's leaving.
This is, I don't even know.
He's out there leaving.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh god. That was put together so quick.
Yeah, it was so fast and easy. Alright, let's get fast.
Wait, do you want
You want down?
to tattoo Tina? I don't, it's a temporary.
Behind you, behind you, behind you. There's two there, there's two there, there's two there.
My first guy teaching. Did I set it down? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so sweaty. This was the sweatiest girl. I brought a new one for
Great
you.
job.
Like, really? So you can keep it if you want. You can wear it for your stream or something. I don't know if you want.
Halloween.
Halloween. Wait, I didn't know. I thought this was yours. I was so surprised. For you, if you want. Otherwise, like, I guess I'll take it back. But
She'll keep it.
don't you have a Miku costume?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my god, and thank you. What the heck?
Miku.
Oh, actually, I only have like a couple costumes, and it's it's always like from. Does Hildred cover her hairline with your bikini?
I have
Or
no
is it
idea.
just that? I have no idea. Honestly, I love getting temporary tattoos. It feels awesome. I was so prepared. I even brought my own washcloth. I was like, I have a temporary tattoo. Yeah, for this costume and for the neon one. Oh my god, she's a genius. It says Roll One. She's the first Roll One. Wait, look, it's so cool. I used to do a lot of Roll in middle school too. So much. Me too.
I'll do it.
Oh.
You never had like colored hair.
Alright, it's so and Shelby says, oh, I started Valorant Vocaloid. You guys look so cool. Oh my god, laser transforming us, you know?
So cute.
Yes, oh. And maybe I should have brought something that I could show them.
You know? That's like the that we were cosplaying together. What is this? Rigged, scammed.
This is like the Leslie special.
It's fun.
This
This
is
is like Leslie's dance.
oh, I can't dance. That's fine.
And sometimes she goes like this. So what's the other one?
Hey, what? I don't know.
Forget me. Yeah, that one for sure.
do this IRL.
Seeing this Kafka do.
What she did? Spamming Kafka stuff on me. It's so funny when you cosplay it, like they don't refer to you as a person, they refer to you as a character. So people DMing me, like calling me Jinx and stuff. Like my older TikToks.
Yeah.
Jinx, you're such a good Jinx.
That's crazy.
They're so good. Yeah.
Oh, I love this cosplay where you did like a bunny cosplay thing, but then like I think what is it called, the fulcrum? I think put blush here, and I was like, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Genius, so intelligent, so smart. It was great. It's so good.
The battle happens quick. Be
Her
ready.
prophet, she's got guns.
She got guns.
Moves around.
Wait.
Wait, I love that.
Photo shoots, right?
It's like
Right.
Like there's a merch shoot.
Oh my god. I was like,
oh my god.
master class.
Yeah.
Well, were you?
Literal boat model. Ew. Oh my god. Oh, okay.
Don't you guys have swords in the hall?
Yeah, I got swords on the wall.
Right here. Well, yeah, you should use one of your swords for Kafka's
Hell, what kind of sword is she?
katana, right?
Yeah. Is this a sword? I have like a sword collection on the wall right there. This one's cool. Look at this one.
There's two at the top here. Two at the top here. Two at the top here.
What do you guys think?
One's getting they're picking their buddy up. One's moving this way. The other one's picking the other one up. Other guy's up now. They're in the corner right here. Two of them.
This here is another viewer's broken gaming PC. And yes, I'm throwing something super cringe about it. I really don't know why this is here, the bottom slot. It's Grenaders 2000. Why on earth have you done that? I would never have allowed you to do that. So for those of you who aren't aware, Nate is my brother-in-law, and we actually built the system together, it must have been 2 years ago or so, on the channel. He's since modified it just a tad, but it is having some issues apart from the obvious.
So, as y'all can see, I got a pretty sweet card in, or so it was a sweet card.
What kind of card is it?
It is a
You don't even know?
MSI GeForce RTX 3080.
Oh, it's a 3080.
Okay, it's a 3080. So I got it secondhand from a guy in Tallahassee. My wife and I, your sisters, we were traveling from Tallahassee going back home, and he was at a gas station. Long story short, I got it from a guy in Tallahassee at a gas station. It worked great. It's been killing it. Out of nowhere, this is like a week ago, it just stopped working. It started giving me camo, like digital camo on my screen, and it freezed my computer. Digital camo.
I'm not going to forget that one. Yet without further ado, since we now have that context about the gas station, we might as well go ahead and turn this on and see if we can see the same artifacting Nate's describing. And yeah, this is usually what it looks like when a graphics card is on the way out. So this might be a very quick fix, but it's just unfortunate that the gas station graphics card here has decided to throw in the towel. I think you'll need to brace yourselves. Stay with me. To get rid of that annoying Windows activation watermark, head on over to VIP SCD key. Purchase a Windows 10 Pro OEM key for a fraction of the price of retail. Just use a secure payment method like PayPal, enter your product key in your PC settings window, and save a bag from one. And be sure to use our offer code SKGS for a sweet discount. Now I know a lot of you are screaming by this point at me for not moving the card to the uppermost folding PCI slot. The reason why I'm not doing that yet is because I want to see if at the very least we can replicate the issue Nate's describing here. And again, I saw the photo, so I know it exists. I just don't know if it's going to happen right away. I don't want to touch anything in case. Don't look back here, Nate. Don't look back here. False alarm. Dude, what is that? sounds awful. Right, so we do get a post. It is loading into Windows. I don't see any artifacting right now. So what we can do is maybe try running it through like a graphics intensive benchmark, maybe like a burn-in test at firmware, and we'll see if we get artifacting there. I imagine since the card isn't under any sustained load yet and it's not very hot, it might not be exhibiting what you were showing me earlier. So let's try to push it to it. Right, so here is firmware. We're just going to run the standard preset here. All we're looking to do is stress the card. From what Nate says, this has happened after gaming. Yeah, so a longer gaming session when the card's been stressed, it gets pretty warm. That's when we should see either a blue screen or an artifacting, maybe both. So let's go ahead and start the test. We'll click go. And here is where, dude, we've got so much stuff popping up. Oh man. Alright, so we're gonna let this run. We can see our GPU temperature down here. It's looking like it's around 70 degrees Celsius right now. We're gonna let this run for about 30 minutes or so when we have most of the card thermally saturated. And if we don't see issues by then we're gonna have to look elsewhere on the tools that Nate is using, or even from what I'm seeing, the card looks to be fine, even in the lower PCIe slot on its board. 12 o'clock midnight. No signal. You know, I've got two monitors. My main monitor, it would like shut off, say no signal, but then my left monitor, it would say, it would like blink like you get power, if that makes sense.
Need a new angle on this. Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
So I was just about to give him crap for bringing me a perfectly working system. I don't know if the camera caught it, but the system just went black. It didn't turn off, but it did hard reset. And now we're back at the Windows loading screen. And now it's, okay, hold on, that's, what does that say? Video TDR failure. Well, that's about as black and white as it gets, folks. So, ignoring Nate's awkward middle school profile picture, you can see there are a number of small artifacts, and this is what I saw in Nate's picture, something along these lines. And when I saw that, I immediately thought there was an issue with the graphics card. If it's not a graphics card problem, it's a cable issue or a monitor issue, more than likely. But seeing as though he purchased a second-hand card from someone at a gas station, I don't think we should. Be all that surprised by what we witnessed. You can see even on the home screen, we get small bits of artifacting. It's again something that you never want to see. It's never a good sign. Wow, look further down at this BattleNet icon. Let's see, it's this one here. You almost can't even read the text because it's so distorted by what the card is doing. In fact, we're even getting driver errors now, which we weren't seeing before. You saw we were running firmware without issue 10 minutes ago. I think the drivers are having issues communicating with the hardware because we probably have a hardware issue. I think at this point that's fairly apparent, and that's why we're getting this message. Just a guess, but I don't see why else we'd be getting this message since we haven't actually uninstalled any drivers or anything like that. We've just allowed the card to heat soak a bit. So let's try something different. The first thing we need to try is perhaps the most obvious, moving this graphics card up to the uppermost full-length PCIe slot. It shouldn't be down here, especially a card as powerful as a 3080. Depending on how you have your PCIe lanes sorted by the chipset and the CPU, this could be extremely detrimental to performance. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if just moving this up top fixed Nate's issues entirely. And that's ignoring the other elephant in the room. When a card is positioned that low, it doesn't get a lot of air, so it can overheat, which could also lead to artifacting. The other less obvious issue that we can tackle very easily is removing this daisy chain 8+8 pin here. For 3080s especially, and cards higher than this,
I don't recommend running a single 8-pin from a power supply and then running a daisy chain setup like so. A few people have had issues. It's not recommended necessarily, though I don't obviously think this is alone causing the issues that we're seeing on screen. In fact, it's probably not related to this at all, but I did want to mention it because I'm sure the comment section will. Now, Nate, I know you probably already know this. You've got a large gaming hole now underneath your card. Not the end of the world. You have the extra ones on here. Yeah. So, you'll get. So now this card is where it belongs. So now at this point you can see we are able to run Permark again, which is a good sign. The GPU is being utilized 100%, which is normal. We've got temperatures in the mid-60s now. I expect temperatures to fall a bit since we've positioned the card a bit higher. You can breathe a bit better. Memory frequency looks okay. The parts are good still. 68 degrees Celsius. It's not so. Uh-oh. This looks familiar. Come on. Oh yeah, dude, it's hard resetting. Still. This card is on its way out. So what I think has happened is this card has developed an issue from constant thermal cycling, which most cards have that tolerance built in, right? They're designed to be stressed, to get extremely hot, and then contract and cool again. And metal obviously expands when it gets hot, and sometimes if you have weak solder points, weak joints, you could have the graphics processing unit itself, or maybe a memory chip, partially deball, which means that it can become dislodged. Some of the small little VGA balls that they use to connect the chips to the boards become dislodged. They can corrode if it's, if they're in bad environments. And I have a feeling that's what's going on here, because from the start, the card seemed to be okay. It, of course, was cool. It hadn't been turned on in, several days since you guys drove down here. And then immediately after we fired up Permark and got this card super hot, as it would in a normal game, that's when we started seeing issues. We turned the system off for about 10 minutes, and then powered it back on, loaded up Permark, seemed okay for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then you saw the system completely shut down. That, to me, warrants some sort of graphics card repair that will likely involve tools I don't have here. So the easy bet for me is to just replace the card outright. You can also try testing this in a separate system just to make sure that it is card related, that the issue is being carried over from system to system. But I think that the easy solution here is just to swap the card. The issue, Nate, is you have an RTX 3080 in here, and I don't have too many of those laying around. Now, I've gotten crap from some of you in the past for having so many graphics cards. Why am I so stingy with how many I'm willing to replace? The truth is, most of these boxes are empty. They're either in systems or they have already been given away or repurposed in other upgraded rigs for viewing, etc. So, like this one here, I know I don't have this one anymore. I might have a 3070. I do think I have this one. This one's in a rig. This one is in a rig. A lot of boring math later. Yeah. I'll give you something for now, but it's going to be a lot. So let's get this thing back out of here. So I've got this 3070 here, and you know what? Dang it, I'll be a good brother-in-law. I'll let you keep it, all right? But promise me that you don't swap this out for another gas station graphics card. That's the one condition. We okay with that, Nate? Yeah. Okay, I think that's fair. I know she is in the 3080, and yeah, this is sort of a downgrade, but it beats the 3080 that Artifacts, that's for sure. And it still looks pretty darn good. It's also not an MSI card, and you guys know how I stand with that. This card is also just a 8+6 pin, so it's going to pull less power. And of course, we're going to run the same Permark test to make sure this one's stable. Some good news finally. I didn't expect anything less from this 3070. The card runs perfectly fine. I think it's been about 15-20 minutes or so, and we're just over 70 degrees Celsius. That's where it's leveled off without any issues or any artifacting. I think you're ready for a new, ready for a new home. So now we turn our attention back to the MSI 3080. I have cleaned up the die, taken apart the card. Things physically look okay, and I've noticed this just in the past. It's going to be difficult to see anything with the naked eye. I'd have to start probing various locations to see if there's a sketch short somewhere. So far, it looks okay. I'm going to recase this, we're going to put the card back together and pop it into a test bench. And we'll see. Sometimes just taking the card apart, giving it a proper cleaning, and then reassembling can actually fix intermittent issues like that. So Who knows? I think it's working out. Back together again. You can see we've got a makeshift test bench sitting right here on the edge of the desk. It's already hooked up, and I've already gotten the latest NVIDIA drivers installed. Now we're going to run firmware and see if the exact same symptoms show themselves here. If they do, then we'll know that the issues were carried over by the card itself, and it definitely needs to be either repaired or recycled. And again, I would be surprised if the card wasn't repairable. I just don't have the tools here to take care of it. The temperature is... okay, I was about to mention the temperature was climbing at about the same rate it was before, but the screen just went black. And this was only after, what, like 20 seconds of running firmware? One other thing to note about this card while we're waiting for things to reboot, this was previously open. I noticed the seal was broken, so whoever owned this card before Nate did, whoever sold it to him at the gas station apparently, opened this up, probably repasted it. I don't suspect that's why the issue is coming up now, because again, he said Nate's had this card for like a year, but it very well could have contributed to the problem if things weren't done correctly when it was apart. And it looks like, unfortunately, we're not getting any signal from the card at all. The monitor is just completely black. I don't know why it's doing this now, but we're definitely worse off than we were before. So, very strange, but I think it's fair and safe to say now that the card is definitely the culprit, and it's not something I would put into any rig again, at least in its current state. This board, unfortunately, doesn't have a Dr. Debug, although I'm fairly certain it would point toward VJ out as the culprit. You can see the fans of the card are still spinning. Physically, it seems fine.
I got 2 on me, 3 on me, 3 on me.
It does not want to play ball. And that's sometimes just how the cookie crumbles. Maybe, in the future, avoid graphics cards that are being sold to gas.
He's hurt.
There still is hope for this. It'll have to be sent somewhere, some sort of specialist for more intensive diagnosis. But for now, yeah, worst case scenario, confirmed. Now, quickly back to Nate's rig. I noticed that I still hear the high-pitched whirring sound. It sounds like some sort of fan grinding noise coming from the chipset area. I think it is a chipset fan in this X570 motherboard. We'll definitely have to swap the motherboards out at some point. But for now, you can see it settles down. I think when the system finally posts, the fan curve kicks in and the fan either slows down to a near halt or completely stops. But that is what we were hearing in the beginning of the video, if you were curious. No, it was not one of the fans in the graphics card being snagged by something lower down. Fortunately, Nate's rig is back up and running again. Unfortunately, it required a graphics card replacement, but at least it is a working, reliable rig again. We confirmed that with firmware. The graphics card was the only issue, which is why I saw the need to only stress the graphics card to ensure that the system would be stable long term. I think this is the same board, mind you, that we had to repair ourselves because there were a few pins missing in the CPU. We ended up filling some of the holes in the socket with copper, and to date, Nate says he hasn't had any CPU-related issues from what he could tell, which is pretty impressive. I really didn't think that would hold up as well as it did, but it seems to be doing just fine. So I totally stand behind how we repaired that. And a lot of folks are like, "Well, you just solder it. It doesn't make any sense." You know, very difficult to solder things that are that fine without really expensive equipment, typically. Plus, I don't have good hands, so I don't trust myself. I think that shoving copper into the holes in the socket was the safer bet for us, and the proof's in the pudding. So at least the rig works. The graphics card's not the same. It is slightly weaker. But if you look at it this way, the original card in here that I gave him was an RTX 2070, I believe. And now he's got an RTX 3070. So, really, I kind of upgraded him. I'm going to go with that story. I just wanted you to say do you feel like I kind of screwed you on the graphics card downgrading situation?
No, I'm great. I'm grateful. Thank you. I mean, I went from a card that didn't work to a card that does work. So thank you.
We got too many people here.
Down, and like I said, given other issues, give me a holler. I'm going to try my best to get that 30 looked at by someone who is actually a professional in board repair. Because I don't claim that to be my strong suit on the slightest. So maybe we can get Northbridge Fix or something along those lines to take a look at it. I'll reach out to several of them if I can and see who bites first. And maybe we can get some cool collab going on. And if we get the card fixed, then they'll, hopefully they'll send it back and we can pop that back in here. And you'll have
30, 87, 37.
I'll be back.
With that, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Yes, it was a worst case scenario. The graphics card is always, it's always just, it's the thing you're hoping it's not the most, right? It's usually the most expensive, or one of the most expensive components in a rig, especially a gaming rig. And that was the case here. But if you're seeing similar symptoms, you're seeing screen artifacting, Renee was saying he knew right away that it's probably something graphics card related. And I more or less confirmed that when I saw the photos he had sent. I was on the fence about it actually being a graphics card issue when we first got it in here. It seemed to be working just fine. But I'm glad we gave it some due diligence and we're patient with it because it definitely exhibited many concerning symptoms. And at the very end you saw was just giving us a black screen, which Nate said you also noticed in his back home. So yeah. I'll keep you updated on that card for now. If you guys enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. If you haven't already, check out relevant links in the video description, including a link to our Discord server, which is totally free. Join
Yeah. My name's Nate.
Thanks for learning.
Dude, I got alternated. Alright guys, and as always, do not buy a gas station graphics card. Greg, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you're opting for this, consider liking and subscribing. Enjoy.
You're a natural, Nate.
Looking at the general reaction to the 7800 XT announcement, one is left wondering if the PC enthusiast community has become so conditioned that reason has been completely abandoned. Everyone is celebrating the lower than expected $500 price tag, but few seem to realize what this GPU launch actually represents. As it turns out, we might have hit a point of no return when it comes to the death of the GPU market as we know it. This video is sponsored by urcdkeys.com. If you buy a retail Windows 10 key, you could spend $100 or more. But if you buy an OEM key from urcdkeys.com, a Windows 10 Pro key will cost you only $15 when you use the coupon code C25. The keys work globally, and you can even get a free upgrade to Windows 11 from Microsoft. After you've made your purchase, you will find your key in your purchased orders in the URCD Keys website. Click on Get Keys and copy the key. Then in Windows, click on Start and type Activate, and then click Activation Settings. Then click Change Product Key, paste your key you just purchased, and click Next. Your copy of Windows is now activated. If you want Office 2021 Professional, you can use the same C25 discount code and get it for just $65. URCD Keys is running a mid-year sale with some cool mechanical keyboards, gaming mice, and even gaming chairs. Thanks to URCDkeys.com.
There's two here. One's hurt bad.
Check the links in the description to get your cheap OEM Windows keys today. I did a video last month talking about how I thought the 7800 XT at $550 would be well positioned in the current market, especially if you were planning on
gonna fight with someone else,
as that would be $100 less than the 4070, so just about worth it in my opinion. But I also stated in that video that the 6800 XT at $520 would be a better buy. Well, it turns out the 7800 XT is even cheaper than expected at $500, which, assuming the performance does indeed match the 4070, represents a massive saving of $100 and potentially $160 if you were planning to buy Starfield, since a code for the game comes included with the 7800 XT. So what's there to complain about? Well, AMD is copying NVIDIA not just in the good things NVIDIA are doing, like the extra features, ApexStarfield in particular being a late but still welcome addition to the Radeon software add-ons, but AMD are also copying NVIDIA in the anti-consumer behavior. The 7800 XT was meant to be a 7800 non-XT, and that's why it's only $500, and that's why it performs about the same as the 6800 XT. If we look at the specs, we see that the 6800 XT has 72 compute units, 128 watts, and drew 300 watts on 7nm TSMC. The 6800 non-XT has 60 compute units, 96 watts, and drew 250 watts, also on 7nm TSMC. This new RDNA 3-based 7800 XT also has 60 compute units, not 72 like the 6800 XT, and 96 ROMs, not 128, and a TDP of 263 watts on 5nm TSMC. That's not an XT SKU, that's clearly a 7800 non-XT on a new node, mind you, drawing more power, and it barely beats the 6800 XT. NVIDIA tried to do the same thing with the 4080, if you remember, the 12GB one, which due to community pressure, NVIDIA ended up renaming it to a 4070 Ti. But as far as the 7800 XT is concerned, it's coming in at $80 less than the 6800 non-XT at launch, but that card launched in 2020, 3 years ago. After 3 years, you save $80, yeah, but you get a worse GPU overall, even if it can push a few more frames in a few games. Like I said in the video where I covered this last month, it's a sad state of affairs that the community has been conditioned to think this is now considered good. I mean, it is good in the current context, but I think gamers should be demanding more from both AMD and NVIDIA, and Intel for that matter. In the case of this GPU, I think the price is right, although the naming scheme is definitely deceiving, but the performance is way lower than it should be.
Try to get behind
this as a 7800 non-XT, which is what it effectively is, then $500 is the correct pricing for it, but the performance should be way up there in the 4070 Ti range, or at least in the 6950 XT range. I mean, that's what we've had for the last few generations. Mid-range cards that cost the same or less than the ones they are replacing, but perform on the level of last gen's flagship. As things stand, we're getting way less for what we pay, and this GPU launch represents the end of good value in the mid-range. We will no longer get last gen's flagship for mid-range prices. I know this will fall on deaf ears, but the solution to this madness is to buy second-hand. Gamers need to get over the fear of getting GPUs off of eBay, otherwise you are just validating NVIDIA's strategy. This is NVIDIA's strategy. AMD does it because AMD lives in NVIDIA's shadow. What NVIDIA does, AMD copies. NVIDIA introduced ray tracing. A couple of years later, AMD had ray tracing. NVIDIA introduced DLSS. A couple of years later, AMD had FSR. And NVIDIA introduced frame generation, and here we are. A year later, AMD is introducing their own version of frame generation. NVIDIA increases prices, AMD increases prices. NVIDIA tries to deceive customers by giving a lower tier card the naming scheme of a tier above, and AMD follows suit. AMD doesn't seem to be interested in innovating. They are just happy copying whatever NVIDIA does. That and making chips for the consoles. That's AMD's GPU strategy in a nutshell. On eBay right now, you can find 6900 XTs for $470. That's a far superior graphics card than the 7800 XT and the 4070. It's up there with the 7900 XT really, for $470. And eBay will refund you if there's an issue with the GPU, no questions asked. The only way to stop NVIDIA and AMD's effective price fixing is to punish them by letting GPUs rot in shelves. Save your money by getting a GPU in the used market and put the savings towards an OLED monitor. And if you want Starfield on top of that, just get the Xbox Game Pass, as the game is included, and you'll get access to more games than you can play. As for the 7700 XT, it's unbuyable. It's just predatory segmentation to get people to spend the extra $50. Just stay away from that GPU. So while the 7800 XT is a good buy in the current context, if you're only considering buying new, it's a good representation of how bad the GPU market has become. And it marks the end of the mid-range value proposition. And while it used to be the case that AMD kept NVIDIA honest, now we're at a point where AMD really doesn't care, because AMD fans will buy AMD GPUs no matter what. Maybe there are still enough savvy PC enthusiasts out there that will spread the word and at least make a dent in
I got
NVIDIA
one
and
more in me.
AMD's price-fixing strategy. One can hope.
Today's video is brought to you by our friends.
Guardio.
Our path is made today.
Read Tina and Foosley watch E-Rock for the first time.
Oh,
Is it looks like this? Like the
he's
past
lounging like that.
month, man, I don't know if you ever
You're
could do that.
lounging.
Like, I'm so over the computer. I like Corona. I can't take me serious if you look at it like that.
This clip has 1.3 million views.
Oh my god. Wow.
Oh, what do you think about that?
Oh, he's like really comfortable.
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah, he was just like, lounging with his girl. He's comfortable.
People just call him ogre. What's that all about?
Because he looks like an ogre in it. I don't know.
Oh.
And he ran out of something important.
Unlock. Dick pics? Oh my god. How did I run those?
Trad wants more bugs in Starfield.
Better than Solid because I love Bethesda games. I love the charm that they have. They're goofy. They're fucking bug filled. To be honest, I wish there was more bugs in this game. There really isn't that many. It's kind of annoying. Like, I wish there was more. Like, this game is almost too polished for a Bethesda game, but that's okay. That's not a bad problem to have. I think that's probably for them. That's probably a dub. But for me, I wish it was a little bit buggier.
That bitch just broke hard.
I already did this.
I broke one.
I literally just did this. A bug? Speak of bugs, and they will happen. I think I just found an infinite money glitch.
Mr. Newton and Pete get married.
Your love continue to unite you so that you may be faithful to the vows you made today. May you live together in joy and peace till your lives end. You now pronounce you husband and wife. You may still your godly kiss.
What the f just happened? Every time I switch weapons, everything flies out. Look at this. What the f?
Elon's mom thinks her son can heal their relationship with her son.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
So I sent my mom a picture of me and Sarah. I'm like, look, Mom, I found one.
They're hurt bad. Where's our teammate at?
She goes,
Oh my god, what is happening? He's not even moving?
Is she biracial?
Oh my god, these two are gonna have time to heal up. They're gonna kill both of us. They're running around, they haven't healed yet. They're running around, they're right on me, but they're about to kill me. They killed me, but they haven't healed yet, if you can get them.
His name is Hassan Abid, and I watch his YouTube videos sometimes. He's got pretty good sense about some things genuinely. I'm thinking about sending him a message to talk to you about how you treat your mom. Got all the past to show him what a good mother I was to you. What do you think about that? Do you think your friend Hassan Abid might be able to help us?
Unexpected twist in Kuma's DMs.
Anyway, he messaged me 3 days later, and I was also streaming, and it happened again. You ready? Yo, missed you, lol, yum, goddamn, lol, my cock in your mouth, lol, you're amazing, lol, love that, lol, hardest, lol, w. My dad died a few years ago, lol. I'm sorry, I did not see that. I skimmed it earlier, I'm not... What the...
Deathloop 2.
Oh my god.
What?
Holy imagine if this game was slow. Like, what if at least the loading's decently fast? But, I mean, obviously I can press escape and just load the game. But there's a guy out there stuck here with, like, a really computer. So every loading is, like, 3 minutes. It's not like an N.2. Boy, we're good now.
Do we got a vibe check, or what's going on?
Wonder why my fucking sugar I just fucking almost polished off.
Roll call.
Sounds like a Subway problem.
Oh, God. Yeah, for real.
What the fuck?
Why are you casting bird magic on Connor?
Alex went, chat, which one is it? Where is it?
Actually lost. Something distracted me.
Where is it?
I focus now.
Hammy thinks it's in the third line, which is crazy because which one is number 3? A lot of people are saying the middle. Okay, you think it's in the middle? Wrong! Idiot! Not in there! I'll take another guess. I'll take another guess. The first one?
Not the damn
Wrong!
thing, motherfucker.
So it has to be in this one, right?
Right there.
It has to be. No, it's not.
How did you get that?
I don't want to be jump master. I'm trying to pack a bowl.
No, right on.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
NPC gets in the way.
Find a spot for you. And along the way, I can give you the very
Stay in the ring.
abbreviated tour.
Gang up on people.
So you've seen the
None
library.
of this jumping out and get shot to death. Crap.
Going back.
Bro, speak up if you have ideas. Hey, bro, we're talking. Can you fucking back up? Back the fuck up. I will fucking stab you. Back the fuck up, bitch.
It was a big time, but most people in the city forgot.
Hey, yo, I'm sorry, we were interrupted. What?
If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like, and if you want to keep up with the latest news and clips, be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Paulson does a classic.
Yeah, I actually have
a
shotgun.
Somebody snuck it in.
Are we gonna get this dude right here? There's a team right on the outside right here.
Fuck it, let's try. I don't care. Ah, ammo! Oh! I about died.
So this thing didn't let me even pull the gun out. I was he went out. I went to go help him.
Uh-oh. So that's not a spin. Like, we can count that as, like, that's not, was that a, she, no, we count it.
I'm gonna come grab you in a minute.
Oh, not bad.
No, I can't.
150.
Punch this thing.
Good spin.
Punch her.
Can I get a cue?
I bet you better run.
Whoa! Oh, no way.
I got punched.
Are you trying to let them back in the game?
No.
Yeah, he's going out.
This is bullshit. Side down.
Such a lovely experience.
Well, we can always
And so
crack
he
the
just
banner
goes
and
along
backside, I guess.
with all all the woke nonsense because he doesn't want to fight that wing of his party. He can't afford to have a battle on the left.
Yeah.
So that's my big issue with him. I know you have others.
Well, my
we're
my
kinda got a
biggest
Mexican
issue is he
standoff here.
lies a lot.
All right, here's
and
what we're
he's
gonna do.
probably
Well, certainly not more than Trump.
Oakley. Well, listen, I think they both lie. I mean, I don't like that more than this guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to go talk about Trump and talk about Trump. Let's talk about Biden. I don't think comparing him to Trump does anybody any good. You just look at the beliefs of the situation
they're running against.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of necessary.
It could, when if you want to talk about it in terms of an election, you talk about the terms of the guy who's in office right now. Like, why don't I like him? Well, one of the things that I don't like has nothing to do with any of his choices. Is that he's mentally compromised. I think there's something wrong. And I think it's clear. Well, okay, he speaks much clearer. He might be crazy. He might be a sociopath.
He's crazy and stupid.
Say all those things, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that there's something wrong with Biden. Like, he makes up words, he stumbles through things, it seems like he doesn't know where he is. Half the time he's very, very old. That's my problem with him.
Well, again, we're living in a world where perfect is not on the menu.
Nice try.
These are the choices we're gonna have. This is gonna be who's running next time. You're gonna have a doddering old man.
Do you definitely think that Biden's going to make it to the 2024 elections? Because I'm not convinced.
Well, who knows? Yeah, he might not, and some might not Trump.
Right. No, both of them could die at any minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're like 70, whatever years old, 78 years old.
One is 77, one is 80.
Yeah, that's the end of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're on E.
I mean,
right? You might make it to town, but you might die on the side of the road.
People live to 100.
They don't look like those guys.
No, they look better.
Yeah, they're thin and
Biden's thin.
That's he's thin like skeletal.
Yeah,
like he's thin like frail. Like where he looks like he's just gonna fall down.
I'll give you this point. Trump looks a lot and sounds a lot more hearty and robust and healthy. That's true. He's a city roach. He eat the worst things he eats, the stronger he gets. You cannot kill him. No,
He's also the only guy that didn't noticeably age the moment he got into the White House.
We did. We aged. He was fine. You're right. He didn't look like he aged. He always looks the same. But he's a criminal, and he's crazy, and he's stupid. And crazy and stupid are two different things.
When you say crazy, what do you basically?
Okay, let me give you an example. Stupid is like Frederick Douglass is alive, or the stealth bomber is literally invisible.
Right.
Or nobody knew healthcare was hard to solve. That's just stupid. He's very stupid. Crazy is like, it's important that the crowd at my inauguration was the biggest ever. And I'm going to make an issue of this for the first 2 weeks of my presidency, despite photographic evidence of the contrary. I'm going to steal these documents. What they are, and I don't care, and I'm going to put them next to the toilet at Mar-a-Lago, and then I'm going to fight you to take them back, or not conceding the election. Those things are crazy. Or thinking I can somehow charm Kim Jong-un in Korea, although that might be stupid. Sometimes it crosses the line between both. But he's both stupid and crazy, and he's a criminal. You know, he's not being charged in these trials because he's a liar. They purposely didn't do that. Apparently it's okay. It's not illegal to lie to the American people. And of course he did lie and continues to lie. He still hasn't conceded the election, which he plainly lost. He's charged with actual crimes. Criminal intent to obscure, I forget what the actual name of the law is, but criminal intent to basically steal the election or to coerce people in the states from, I forget what it is. And then there's one forgery, which has to do with the elector scheme, criminal intent for.
What is the forgery?
That's the slate of electors he was putting forward, the fake slate of electors. And then there was the one of.
Here it is. We can read it. 3 counts of solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer. So he's trying to get someone to violate their oath. 2 counts of conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree. 2 counts of conspiracy to commit false statements and writing, 2 counts of false statements and writings, violation of a Georgia RICO Act, conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer. I wonder what that is. Conspiracy to commit filing false documents and filing false documents. And this is all based on the election results.
Well, there's also felony solicitation of violation of oath. Felony solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer. That was what when he was talking to Ratzenberger. That's the I need you to find me 11,000 votes. There's also one. I mean, there's two cases about trying to steal the election. One, the national case that Jack Smith is prosecuting, then there's the one in Georgia. Now they cross paths in a lot, but basically, I mean, yes, he tried every possible way to steal this election. He tried to do it through the courts. He tried to do it through state legislatures. He tried to do it through intimidating Mike Pence. He tried to do it through the Justice Department. They talked about seizing voting machines. They talked about using the army. I mean, you can't really believe that this guy is not worse than Joe Biden. I mean, I agree. Biden is not a great president. And the Hunter Biden stuff is a stinky conspiracy, not a conspiracy, a stinky scandal that stinks to the high heavens. If you think that in any way compares to what Trump tried to do, you just cannot tell unlike things apart.
And you're saying this just based on what happened after the election? Just that stuff?
Yes. Well, that's the criminal part, yes.
Have you ever tried to steel man his position? Like, do you think he really believes they stole the election, or do you think he's bullshit?
Who gives a fuck? Doesn't matter.
Who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck if he really believes it?
But I mean, if he really believes there's evidence that the election was rigged.
No, I don't care. No, first of all, that was part of the January 6th committee's findings. He has multiple people, all the people around him told him that he lost that election, including Bill Barr, you know, and he admitted, one of his quotes was that they have on record of him saying, I don't want people to know I lost this election. Well, he's crazy.
That's kind of crazy.
I mean, it's insane that you can't.
You guys didn't communicate at all
the
there.
idea that you can't be seen as a loser. There's a certain.
I'm not on anything like
It
that.
all comes back to he is a clinical case of malignant narcissism.
All the way over
It's
here
not just
waiting
a
for you.
quirk. It's actually in the big book of
Suddenly
crazy.
you get into
know
a
that?
fight. You
Right.
don't say a
I
word.
mean, it's a real thing. And it affects everything he thinks and does. It's why foreign leaders were able to curry favor with him. All they had to do was kiss his ass and they got whatever they wanted. Do I really think that he wants to help Russia and Putin? I think Putin had him as soon as he said, Trump is a brilliant man.
I've been dreaming of this moment all day.
Good, you got me. It doesn't take that much. He's a dangerous guy. The idea that he could be president again, as opposed to Joe Biden, again, Joe Biden, not my first choice, not my 100th choice, but the other guy is a crazy, stupid criminal.
Tech Dad comes in with a question about upgrading, and I think this will apply to many of our viewers, especially those who followed our premium build advice 5 years ago.
Tech Dad says he has an i9 9900K and a 2080 Ti, and he's wanting to upgrade. So I do that with $1,000.
Buy Windows 10 Professional instantly pay full. Get the best deal from our sponsor, Full details on how this amazing deal works at the end of the video. Be careful.
You're dropping hot. Why are you doing that?
On a more serious note, there are a couple of ways you can go with this. First of all, you want to upgrade right away to that question, but I do want to take one step back for everybody else who is watching. An i9 9900K and an RTX 2080 Ti would actually be a great computer to upgrade to for an awful lot of people out there. Our viewers, people in general, that is a great machine. And so while I'm definitely going to give some upgrade advice, I do want to stress the fact that I do not in any way, shape, or form think that everyone with a 9900K needs to throw it away. Now, I replaced mine this year, but I'm a premium user who runs a tech YouTube channel, and there's benefits to me in upgrading and playing with different hardware. If I didn't run a channel, I might have gotten the upgrade itch, but I could tell that the upgrade made a difference, but I didn't need the upgrade. It was sort of it was a nice to have, it was noticeable, it's pleasant. I would not have died if I had waited another year. So, I didn't complain that much. What? I see. Well, I don't remember complaining that much. The funny thing is, if I did go back to it today, I'd be like, what the heck is this pile of nonsense? You get used to something, and then when you upgrade, you go, was it a big deal? I would encourage anybody who does a complete new system build, keep your old one around. Use your new one for a week, then go back to the old one, and then you'll be like, oh, that's why I upgraded. Okay, this can go away now. So, there's a couple of options. First of all, you were an i9 buyer 5 years ago. I generally say that people who were i9 buyers should buy i9s. People who were i5 buyers can buy i5s, that's fine. But I don't like it when people side grade from an i9 to an i5.
Or i7.
Yes. Although I don't think the 3700X is a deal with it, right? You either get the i5 or the i9. But, and then there's AMD to consider. We'll talk about that. So normally at this point I would say, well, the i9 13900K is your go-to choice. It's about $550. You get a really nice motherboard for about $250 or so. You can spend $300. You can spend $200. Don't spend under $200 for 13900K. And there's really no reason to spend over $300. You're paying for RGB lights and some overkill stuff now. Somewhere in the $200 to $300 is the sweet spot for a premium board for a premium build. Again, he's a 2080 Ti, so he's a 4090 buyer. Now here's the trick he's going to face. He doesn't have the budget for both a CPU and a GPU upgrade. Here's what I would normally say. Build a new machine. Everything's out of date at this point. You've got DDR4, and it's from 5 years ago. You have Gen 3 drives. You may have a relatively small boot drive. You may have, hopefully you have at least 32 gigs of RAM at this point, combined of 16. He may only have like a 500 gig boot drive and maybe a hard drive. Or maybe he's got a SATA drive. Because 5 years ago, SSD sizes and prices were completely different than today. So in 5 years, build a new machine. Your power supply, new case, the whole 9 yards. Because that way you have an existing machine, you leave it, it works. Everything in it comes from the same era. You can either sell it as a computer, keep it as a spare, give it to a sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, nephew, brother, friend, whatever. And of course, the benefit to a spare is if something happens to your new machine, you have upgrade issues, or downgrade it to a home theater PC or to, computer for friends to use when they come over and play LAN games or something. If you just replace the motherboard, CPU, and RAM, what do you do with all the rest of the parts? You sell them? You can. But now everything's out of date. You really, no matter what your boot drive was 5 years ago, it's $100 buys you 2 terabyte Gen 4 for a new drive. There's really no reason not to. So now you're replacing the boot drive. You could take your old drive, make it a secondary. That's probably kind of sad at this point. New RAM? What do you do with your old RAM? Cooler? Well, you'll definitely need your mounting kit. Is your power supply ready for the next generation? Yeah, you can kind of say yes and no to several of these things. Build a whole new machine, make everything from the same generation. Here's the problem. With $1,000, he does not have the money to do that in any way, shape, or form. There's no version of this story that $1,000 builds a replacement computer that is better than what he's got. So I'm going to say something.
Public use is in the house.
If you legitimately only have $1,000, keep your computer and enjoy it. I know you have the upgrade itch. You don't have enough money to spend the kind of money required to get a substantial upgrade that will give you a WoW experience. The only thing that's really going to blow your socks off is an i9 13900K or a Ryzen 9 7950X. An RTX 4090, not an 80, not a 70, a 4090 is going to be required to truly blow your socks off. It'll be more than double the performance, and it's the kind of upgrade that's going to last you for the next 5 years without any fuss or muss. Anything less will not. You don't have enough money to get that level of experience. Can you upgrade your machine? Yes. Can you find a place to spend $1,000? Yes. New RAM, new storage, new CPU, new motherboard. Keep your graphics card. Keep your power supply. Keep your case. Is it going to wow you? Probably not. An i5 13600K and $150 to $200 Z690 or Z790 motherboard, 32 gigs of DDR5 or maybe 64 gigs of DDR4, a 2 terabyte boot drive for $100, maybe a new cooler or just a mount. It's faster.
But then it's just replacing it sooner because
You'll need to replace everything soon, yeah.
you
You're starting $1,000 more.
Yeah.
Papa Deal says take that $1,000, put it in the hip pocket National Bank, or better yet, go buy $1,000 worth of boot, ticker symbol boot, or SPY tag, I don't care which. The S&P 500, reinvest dividends. There's nothing to do with that computer. It's a great machine. Now, if you want to go the Ryzen route, you could go with a modest B650 board for about $200. You could go with a Ryzen 7 7700 or 7700X 8-core chip as a placeholder waiting for Zen 5. He'll need at least a new cooler mounting bracket for his cooler, but he might need a whole new cooler depending on what he's got. He'll need DDR5 RAM, but he could fit that within $1,000.
Okay.
And if you went from an i9 9900K to a Ryzen 7 7700X, you will be deeply unimpressed by that upgrade. And I'm sure somebody watching this is going to say, but Dick, don't you know you should tell him to get the Ryzen 7 7800X 3D? It's the best gaming CPU in the world. I saw a benchmark chart.
not the $1,000 budget.
It would fit. I mean, $450 for the chip, $200 for the motherboard, $100 for 32 gigs of RAM, a cooler. I mean, it fits. It would be so with an RTX 2080 Ti. You've got to be joking. What a complete waste of money that would be. If he's sitting there expecting that to blow us out, with the 2080 Ti, I don't know that you'd notice any difference. Slightly. 3070 levels of performance.
You know, the other thing that we're missing here, Tech Dad, is what's your use case? Are you using it to make money with your computer?
Now with $1,000, it's not.
Are you gaming? What games? AAA gaming? What resolution? What it is? I mean, so use case would kind of be helpful here too. So for those of you who are going to send us a question or want to ask us a question, then please add your use case.
Why don't you get over by me, you? You!
You need to build a whole new machine. And your current computer's fine. Your computer's nice. $1,000 doesn't allow you.
Where go get down again? Okay, cool. I can't help you now. Alright, craft you somewhere, baby.
Looking for a Windows 10 or 11 product key, but you don't want to spend $100 to $200 for it?
Let me see
Our
about a
sponsor,
craft.
URC Keys, provides discounted Windows keys at amazing prices. $15 for Windows 10 Professional, $21 for Windows 11 Professional, and just $60 for Microsoft Office 2021 Professional Plus. These product keys are the real deal. They activate directly with Microsoft Online, link to your Microsoft account, and they work forever. For Windows, you simply go to Settings, Update and Security, Activation, click Change Product Key, paste the key provided by URC Keys, and in seconds you're activated with Microsoft. For Office, go to setup.office.com, sign in with your Microsoft account, paste the product key provided by URC Keys.
Where's he at?
And download Office 2021 Pro Plus directly from Microsoft. Remember to use the discount code TD20 to save 25% off the already deeply discounted prices and support our channel.
Let's go to where I was.
We have been using product keys from URC Keys for almost 5 years now without any issues and encourage you to do so as well.
Hop to where I'm going.
Hey, I'm Timon, and today we're looking at the Xtool D1 Pro 40-watt version, which, if you saw it, was too dangerous for the LTT video, but I am trained and know what I'm doing, and we're going to take a look at it today. This is a little bit different in terms of flow compared to a normal short circuit. As you can see, it's already built, mostly because it takes like an hour and a half to build, and we had other things that we needed to get done. And though this is an interesting tool to look at, I'm actually more interested in some of the other things that come with it, like the fire suppression system and the built-in air assist. but the fire suppression system in particular. One of the several problems with this type of laser is the fact that as soon as something gets lit on fire, it's likely just going to get a lot worse, unless the laser has its own built-in fire suppression system or its own way to stop.
I don't know where they're
Even
at.
if the laser stops, most materials we're cutting will continue to burn afterwards. This uses a compressed CO2 cylinder to flood the entire enclosure with CO2 to snuff out any fire that's inside it and stop it from spreading. This particular laser is a diode laser, and it's a blue laser at about 455 nanometers, which means you can see it. Although, if you see it, you're doing something wrong because it's very dangerous and it can severely damage your eyes if you're not careful. Any laser like this should always have an enclosure. And that is definitely one gripe I have right off the bat, is you can buy this without an enclosure. That's really dangerous. Thankfully, you can buy an enclosure. Though this one is better than nothing, I'm not sure if it's going to solve all of the potential gripes I have. Back to the original home of Short Circuit, actually unboxing something.
Yeah, we're good over here. I ain't leaving yet.
A couple of
I did waste my fucking
is good.
evac tower though.
Manuals, assembly guides,
I don't see anyone.
and a whole bunch of
I'm gonna drop my package. Let's go.
Enclosures like this are designed for a couple of reasons. One is to keep smoke and fumes in one area and be able to vent them out. And the other one is
I'm golden.
to act as things that dampen
I'm great.
power is coming from. So these should help lower the amount of laser power that comes through and make it closer.
I'm gonna go on the backside. That's what she said.
Hose, mounting hardware, some more mounting hardware, and a tiny little AC adapter. This is
All the way to the
teeny tiny
edge.
adapter just for
Move.
their instructions.
So edgy. I'm wearing black eyeliner.
This particular enclosure is designed to be taken apart and ported around with you fairly easily.
I'm in.
which
Look at me.
is both a good thing and a
That's
bad
what he
thing.
said.
They say that this is flame-proof material. It
You
feels
wanna go into
relatively
here? You want to go
rough.
into
I
here?
have seen some people take blowtorches to it and actually do burn tests. I don't know how well it would stand up to the laser blasting at it. I don't think we're going to test that today because I don't know what's in this, and that could potentially be dangerous. I think I might actually need instructions for this. Our laser, go to the side for now. My nice LPTstore.com screwdriver with the right hex size bit for this, of course. Okay, laser, you get to go back. Ah, nice little inlet space. This is definitely a lot better than the laser just being in the open, but it's not super secure. And if you're using the laser,
I broke one upstairs, but
the enclosure to fully protect you from the laser.
he broke me as
There's
well.
a ton of places that can still get out.
On the stairs.
Still have
Up
to
the
wear
stairs.
safety glasses when operating it. This fan can vent things out, but we also have a Q extractor underneath the tip. This has several filters in it. You can check through each one of them individually.
One down here.
Here's the
Lifeline in the corner.
VFCs. There is a chance that not all of the dangerous fumes will get filtered. So
I'll drop
venting the
down to
output
you.
outside is still a safe. There.
One second, we got this. 1 minute. Ring's pretty close.
That is two of the power systems done. Next up is actually hooking up the computer and power to the laser itself. One of the other things that you can get as an optional add-on, which also I would strongly recommend, is some kind of base for the laser. So we got here a nice honeycomb base. These are fairly nice because it lets air fly through it. A lot of these lasers have an optional air assist, which helps clear out a bunch of the vaporized material that the laser creates. And these both
What do you need? You need anything?
space in between where the laser's hitting it.
Let's take that zip line if we can.
And the backstop where it gets absorbed, which in this case is a relatively thin aluminum sheet. This, you need to raise it up off the table, or it will not be able to actually sit. That's our TFM moment.
There's people on top of me.
That's a read the manual moment, or read the manual for those who are so behind. Sometimes knowing what
We're
you're
good
doing
in here.
is fun.
On the lower level.
Just stumbling a little bit is fun. Stand out, this works correctly. Aha. There's now a good height. Sweet. There is also height adjustment on the laser body itself.
So
You says, same
get to that
octane.
soon. I fired with mine. This is one of the reasons that I was interested in this setup to begin with. I've seen and heard of a lot of horror stories of places burning down when people leave their lasers unattended. Don't do that. Having a system that helps prevent a fire in any circumstance, even if you're in the same room, if you're not paying 100% attention, which if you're running a long cut, it's gonna happen. Having something that'll cut the laser power and also deal with the fire itself is a pretty nice quality of life improvement, and also potentially just a life improvement if it works out.
No!
Not weights.
You wait
There
so
are the
long.
aforementioned compressed air cylinders.
Made me get myself in trouble. I have to come back for you. How many times?
They look fairly similar to what you use in like airsoft or things like that, so a little bit bigger, which makes me wonder how many times each one works. Power adapter? I think this
That's
might
my
be
last
what actually
fucking
kills the
round.
power to the laser.
That's how it gets to end.